Hello everyone. Ciao, moi nui. My name is Devendra and we are now at the Hải Vân Pass in central Vietnam. This is the route from Da Nang north towards Hue and onwards to Hanoi. And over here you can see the bunkers which were used by French forces and then the American army and thereafter and before also by the Vietnamese forces, because the Hải Vân Pass is a very strategic point connecting the north of Vietnam with the south of Vietnam. And on this side is Da Nang city, about 25 kilometers away, and on this side is the Lang Co beach, which I will show you a video about, and further up is the city of Hue, roughly about 80 kilometers from here. This of course here is the bunkers. Today is a bit of a rainy day, but coming to a mountain and feeling the cool breeze feels wonderful. So many wonderful views from here, and the best view of course is of the beautiful Lang Co beach. So you can see the Lang Co beach from here. It's a beautiful, quiet beach with a few restaurants serving fantastic fresh seafood. And down below you can probably see the railway line also going along the coast. So if you take the train from Da Nang northwards, you can also get a great view. But of course nothing better than coming up the road to this place on a motorcycle or a car. And of course you can go through the tunnel which most buses will go and most other vehicles will go from under the Hải Vân mountain. But coming up to the Hải Vân Pass, you can experience one of the most scenic rides in the world. So because I've been living in Da Nang, which is so near here, I have really enjoyed coming here many times, and even going to the Lang Co beach, which is a different place to explore because it's very quiet and peaceful there, and you don't find the crowd that you typically will find in Da Nang or Nha Trang or any other major tourist destination. And also along the beach is the Lang Co Bay, where a lot of oyster farming is done, and therefore if you like seafood and oysters, you can get really fresh seafood in Lang Co beach here. So this is the view, and I will show you also a few of the hairpin bends on the route on both sides of the Hải Vân Pass. And let's take a look at the road now on Hải Vân, which is the most beautiful ride here in Vietnam and maybe in the world.
truths as they flow down. And their songs entwine with the trees that stand, knotted in time by nature's hand. Each echoing step on the forest floor opens a world through an ancient door. The silence alive, yet brimming with sound. In the arms of solitude, I am found. Oh, whispering pines, sing me your tune. Caught in the rhythm, the stars and the moon. Teach me the language of rustling leaves, stories that linger on the breath of the breeze.
Một nước dừa. Okay, so we have just stopped here, coming down from the Hải Vân Pass and going towards Langko Beach. The view is really beautiful, and just further away from Langko Beach is the city of Hue, and we've crossed the Hải Vân Pass and the hills, but now we come back to the beautiful beach and carry on with our journey. But this view is really phenomenal, so many people stop here, and the railway line is going below from Da Nang to Hue and to Hanoi. But this is really one of the most beautiful places in Vietnam, the Hải Vân Pass. So I hope you can come here sometime and take this trip. This is one of the many hairpin bends on the Hải Vân Pass route. Out in the distance, you can see Langko beach. And further on from there would be the city of Hue, roughly about 70 kilometers from this spot. So we are very near the Hải Vân Pass, maybe about 10 kilometers away, and about 25 kilometers of that would be the city of Da Nang. Certainly one of my favorite spots in the world, one of the best views you can ever get anywhere. And you can see the railway track too. So if you go by train from Da Nang north towards Hue or even Hanoi, you can have a fantastic view of the ocean and the mountains on the train too. But of course, nothing to beat being on a motorcycle and enjoying the fresh air and the fresh breeze here. It's been raining a lot since morning, but luckily it's stopped raining, so I could take off the raincoat and stop and take this wonderful view. But it's getting cloudy again, and there is a small storm expected later tonight, so I'll get on my way. I hope you enjoyed this view.